little cold.
It's a little cold.
Not hella cold.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're wearing a little jacket.
Yeah, and a long sleeve shirt under.
Okay, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so today we're going to talk about your feelings.
Let's do it.
Feelings.
All right, Nsima, you go first. And then Andrew, don't say anything. I won't say anything either.
Okay. Well, what tends to happen each night when I'm on my own is I cry
This is gonna get
a little
weird.
bit. I do cry,
Yeah, just go ahead.
and it hurts, and I don't feel the best.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, cool.
Mm.
Hello,
Cool.
Ryan.
Phone delivery, Ryan Soper.
I get a little bit insecure about my mustache not connecting to my beard.
It's connected.
It's getting better, but it's not a full connection.
Oh, I didn't know this was like a problem.
Yeah, it really does hurt sometimes.
Bad Wi-Fi connection.
So there's a few things.
Anyway, that's not really the way I was talking about.
Oh, okay then. Well, thanks.
Yeah. So I just want to clear up some like misconceptions that people may have. Everything that is said and everything that's done is just an interpretation of your own mind and how you interpret things. So it's a hell of a rabbit hole to go down because some things are, some things are a little different than others. Like if you put me in an arm bar, like it's going to hurt, right? But we also know that some people can be put in an arm bar and they won't tap from it. There's some of the Gracie guys, like they just don't, they just will not tap from it. And maybe their joints or whatever, and they can, handle more or whatever. But we're not going to talk too much about like the physical side of things because that's a little bit more complicated. But from the mental side of things, no one can really actually make you feel anything, especially when it comes to saying something. It's a misinterpretation of what's actually going on. What's actually going on is you said something to me that triggered me, that got me upset, that made me emotional. Maybe it hurt my feelings. Maybe it made me mad. But it's not what you said that made me that way. It's my interpretation of it. So what you said goes, in my ear and goes into my brain and goes into, it goes through a process. It goes through a filtering system of like, hey, do I agree with this? Hey, that doesn't sound right. Why did he call me dumb? Why did he call me this? Why did he call me that? I have a previous history of being called dumb. I have, he knows that. Why would he say that? That's, frustrating. He knows that makes me mad. He knows that I was in special classes. Like he knows these things, right? But if I am to interpret it in a different way and say maybe something more like, oh, he doesn't really know me on that level. It's okay. Like if we didn't know each other that well, it's not a big deal. Or maybe even just finding it to be kind of funny. Like even if you do know me the way that you know me now, and just thinking like, just shrugging it off and being like, oh, that's interesting that he thinks that. I don't feel that way. I feel that because you can determine how you feel, right? This can get to be really complicated because you can care so much about certain people and you can rely so much on your emotions that it's hard to even think straight. In the case of like, being with somebody, in the case of like loving somebody, it can get to be really complicated because if they say something that hurts you, then I don't know about you guys, but like for me as a dude, I get like really quiet. If my wife hurts my feelings, which can happen, right? I mean, we're in a relationship. I'm sure I've hurt her feelings or pissed her off or both, or, many combinations of that kind of stuff. Right. But I think it's helpful to recognize that. I mean, first of all, it's very rare for someone to actually want to hurt your feelings. It's pretty rare. I mean, occasionally somebody may be a hater, maybe somebody on the internet saying something like just foul, right? Normally those people are people that don't know you at all. If you are in a fight with somebody, like an argument, let's say, well, it's not a healthy practice to be chopping each other down. So like, in my opinion, there's not really a lot of wiggle room to tolerate anything like that in my life. Like I don't have anybody in my life that I would be fighting with in that way. I would never be with somebody that I would feel like I have to insult them more than they insulted me, and so on. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Occasionally you may have someone who's abusive. Like it might be a family member. You might have a parent or something that, tells you you're never going to amount to anything, tells you this, tells you that. But as we've seen with many people in the past, that doesn't necessarily equate to your own levels of success and what you determine for yourself. Because we've seen so many people say, hey, how'd you become successful? Well, my dad told me I was going to be a piece of shit my whole life. And I said, fuck that. And I interpreted it differently. I didn't get down to the dumps. I didn't become a drug addict, which some people do, right? Some people interpret that as there is no way out for me. I am a loser. I come from a history of losers, and I'm going to continue down this path, which none of that is true. It's just your interpretation of it. And so it's stuff I've been learning more recently and stuff I've been thinking about a lot. And really what I think is going on is that what we need is we need more knowledge. So the more knowledge that you have, the easier it is to make sense of things. Some of the smartest people that I know, a lot of the smarter people that I know, are fairly calm. They're fairly chill. They're not going to like overly freak out about one thing or another or be overly emotional, because they're understanding that emotion has really very little to do or nothing to do with facts. It has nothing to do with performance. It doesn't enhance anything. How does it enhance me to be sad that I wasn't able to make my mortgage payment this month? Like how did that assist? It could assist in being rational, because you could say, hey, that's the second time that happened. That didn't make me feel very good. I'm going to go get a second job. Well, now you just actually made yourself happy, because all happiness comes from something called problem solving. So I think that the more knowledge that we have, the more problems we're able to solve, the less likely we are to give a flying fuck about what people say and about what they're doing. But without that understanding, then it's very easy to see even something as simple as a text message, or see something as simple as a Instagram post and be like, fuck that. Right? It's easy to get like triggered by these things. What do you guys think of some of that?
I've never heard anybody say problem solving like will lead to happiness, and that makes a shit ton of sense.
And the only way to solve a problem is to have knowledge.
Yeah.
That's why we seek it in the first place.
And for me personally, like I've talked to Mark about like my finances and stuff, and like not necessarily like a hole I'm in or anything like that, but just like some stuff that I kind of let get out of control.
Very common things that many people have. I've had the same issues you've had. That's why I'm able to help you with it.
Yeah, and then so by like getting my shit together and problem solving, I'm realizing that like, dude, I am way less stressed out. Like I am smiling way more. The sun keeps coming out every single day.
Sun's a little brighter.
Yeah, and I'm
Right?
just like, when you said that, dude, I don't know if you know, my eyes fucking lit up, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like that makes so much sense because I'm living it. That's huge.
The thing you mentioned about, I guess, letting people's words get to you. It's always the people that are. It is the people that are closest to you that can have the biggest effect on you. I found that like maybe in the past, or like when I was younger, the opinions that people outside of my circle would have on me would matter a bit, but I don't know when it stopped mattering to me much in terms of the people outside of the close knit group of people that know me well. Now, like, I don't really give a fuck about any of that, but when the people close to me say certain things, if one of my best friends or let's say my girlfriend says something, that can ping. You know what I mean? And it's hard for that not to ping, because the reason why that hurts so much sometimes is because those people know who you are. They know what you're about. And if they can still say certain things that can make you feel that way, god dang. Like that's one thing that it's still, I'm just like,
and it's super easy to forget, right? Like,
right. And I think
you think about that forever.
And but I don't think it's out of balance to ever tell somebody, like, I can't imagine. There's like two things that could happen, like one is you go and you tell somebody, you say, hey, what you said the other day, I don't know if you realize this, but like it really, like I've been hurting inside. Like I hate to even admit it, but I've been hurting inside for like the last 5 days. Like it hurt me. I'm not even sure why it hurt me so bad, but I didn't appreciate it. I didn't
Mhm.
like it. And then you can say, look, you know what? If that continues, like I'm gonna have a lot less It could be like your mom, you know.
Mm.
It could be somebody in your family. Say, I'm gonna have a lot less interaction with you because I don't agree with that. I'm trying to work out more positive stuff in my life, and that's not helpful to me.
Mm.
You know what you said the other day about me needing to be a better dad. That that hurt a lot because I'm trying, like I'm working on it.
Mhm.
I'm working hard. And maybe they called something attention to something that like maybe needed to be said because sometimes uh, the people that are close to you will do you a nice favor and tell you the truth. Like,
Mhm.
hey man, you ain't around. Like you're not around for your family, or you're not. It's cool that you're doing all this jujitsu, but like you're not hanging out with your girlfriend enough, man.
Mm.
Like, and you might be like, oh man, that does sting, and it might make you mad. But again, if you send it through the grinder, you send it through your head there, and you send it through, you work through it, and you think about it, then you can start to make some sense of it, and you can do what only human beings can do, and you can try to rationalize it.
Mhm.
I don't
What
think any other animal can do that.
what do you do like to try to process stuff like that when something is said? Like, what do you like, Mark? What do you actually do? Like, go for a walk? You sleep on it? You hear about people saying like time will cure like all
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah,
So I was just.
yeah. Time can help.
Hmm.
Some people say sleep on it, but it's kind of hard to sleep on it.
It's very hard to sleep.
It's very difficult. I've heard of some people saying like, and this is like kind of more of a modern thing, I guess, but like, let's say, let's say it's a text, or let's say it's an email, or let's say it's uh, an Instagram thing, right? Well, I think you could write it into your notes section of your phone, and then you could try to wait and see if that, like, will it still make sense if you think about it more? It still makes sense to send that email over to somebody. Will it still make sense to comment back about what somebody said? I know that people are listening to this now and like, Mark gets triggered all the time. This is just stuff that I have learned more recently, like recently, and
Mm.
so these are going to be things that I work on. But it's hard to understand too. It's hard to understand that like firing back won't really have the effect that you're looking for.
Mhm.
Um, I saw like Justin Bieber the other day. They were talking about how he's having a hard time with this, having a hard time with that, and they strung together all these videos of him like lashing out. And it's like, well, the guy, not to make excuses for him, but he's been, famous since he's been like a little kid, and I
Yeah.
have no idea what that would be like. But they show him like lashing out against media. Somebody's calling him a punk as he's going to his car. I would imagine, he's very frustrated from all the travel, all the performances, given everything he's got on stage. That one guy shouting that one thing to him is making him react in a way that he thinks that that guy is representing everybody and everyone's feelings, saying you're not doing a good job as a performer.
Mhm.
And that's not necessarily true. And I think I have misinterpreted people sometimes when people say something on YouTube, or sometimes somebody says something on Instagram of like, this means I'm doing a bad job.
Mhm.
And it really doesn't, because if I feel good about what I'm doing, and I feel that what I'm doing is productive and I enjoy it, I have interest in it, even if I just have interest in it and it goes nowhere,
Yeah.
even if it has 0 views, if I feel it's productive and I'm into it, then it's productive. Then it's so, right, because that's the way that I think, and it's making me feel good. I shouldn't need anything else on top of that. There's nothing external that should be able to. Uh, I know that it does shift your mood, but it shouldn't be able to shift your mood, because it doesn't actually shift your mood. It doesn't actually make you feel any kind of way. It's just, there's a lot of emotions that maybe get confused, and I think, when it comes to like more positive emotions, like feeling good, or or feeling like loved, and those kinds of things, I think that those are things you probably need to think less about, because it feels good to have those things, and there's not really a lot of negatives with those.
Mhm.
However, none of those will fill in the gaps for you either. So if you, let's say you're a little bit of a wreck of a person, let's say that you are, um, and by wreck, I just mean like you're very emotional. You can be moved up and have these crazy highs, and you can have these crazy lows.
Mm.
Well, now you meet somebody else, and you're riding this high, and you're staying above average for yourself more regularly, right?
Yeah.
Now let's just say that person's not there anymore. You broke up, something happened, whatever. Now where do you swing to? So even relying on, you can't really rely on anyone else. You have to be able to rely solely on yourself. And the only way that you're going to, this self-love kind of movement, the only way you're going to feel good about yourself is to have the knowledge to solve the problems for yourself in the first place, because the problems are the things that are kind of dragging you down.
Mm. Yeah, no, there's a lot. Let me ask you this actually, because Andrew was asking you like how you process things. But first off, what got you so interested into this train of thought? Because for the amount of time that I've known you, you've always been like honestly just like a kind of calm person,
Right.
okay? But what got you thinking deeper into this? And I guess what kind of resources have you been looking into? Since this is going to be kind of short, where can people start in terms of looking up some of these ideas?
It's complicated.
It's complicated. Okay.
For myself, I was trying to think about the way I used to be when I was younger. When I was a kid, it was really, really rare for me to care about anything. I mean, I think my parents didn't like ever know what I was going to do, because I was quiet. I was super quiet. I loved like football. I loved a couple things, but like I didn't have a lot of emotion. When I did well in football, if I scored a touchdown or something, like I didn't spike the ball, like hand the ball to the ref. Like this is like my job. Like I'm supposed to score. I'm on the offense. I'm a tight end. I caught it. Cool. Flip the ball.
Yeah.
We won the game. Not it didn't matter. We're supposed to win the game. But sometimes some things would happen where maybe we lost the game, as I mentioned before, like losing our playoff game, and I would be more reactionary to that, and I was like, well, like that's not healthy. And then over the course of time, over a period of time, I somewhere along the lines I messed up, because I became an adult and I had like responsibilities, and I allowed those responsibilities to allow me to waver from the way that I originally was. I remember as a kid, my football coach was really like emotional. And I always thought about how dumb it was. And then I would see my own brother like punch his hand through like a wall or something. He's very reactionary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of cool in some ways, because, you just like blow off steam, right? Well, if you never do that, then you're kind of holding everything in, kind of trapping everything in. But there's another way to handle it. You can handle it all internally through your brain, and you can make more sense of it, and you can be more calm about it, to where you're just like, you just think about the situation not necessarily as bad and not necessarily as good, but it's just the way that it is. And then you can interpret, and you can place values on those things, and think about where those things sit, in your life, how those things matter to you the most. So my football coach, like throwing his clipboard, I remember like, we had like about 3 guys on the team that were good. Like I think most high school teams are like this. They have a football team, and they got only a couple of football players. I was a football player. I was like one of the guys that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can get away with more. My coach, threw his clipboard, and it was during a game, and I just looked at him, I'm like, Coach, I'm like, now you got to pick up your clipboard. You don't know where your papers went, like, I'm like, look at you, and I was kind of making fun of him. He's like, Bell, he's like, get out of my face, But what I recognized, as I've gotten older, is that even though I don't ever react like that, like you guys would never see an explosion like that, I think I might react in my head like that.
Mm.
I think I might be throwing a clipboard in my head. And so more recently, I've been like trying to look into that and trying to figure out why. I'm a big proponent of trying to stop the bleeding of stuff, almost before I get cut, like almost anticipating getting cut, and then saying like, okay, what do I have around me that could stop the bleeding? I don't have any I don't have like a mental issue. I don't have. It's not like it's not like I found God or anything crazy like that. But I just have recognized certain traits and certain things where I'm like, this isn't great, and this could be a lot better. And if I start to look into this more, I think I can serve myself better. So now I'm trying to think of like, how does this serve me better? And if it doesn't serve me better, I don't really want anything to do with it. I want to just keep continuing to try to gain more knowledge so I can solve more problems for myself, so I can be like more at peace. And the weight of having a multi-million-dollar business and some of these things, it again, it's all interpretation. Like, it could matter a lot, and it could freak me out, and it could make me scared, or it could just be fun, And I choose to have it just be fun. I choose for it to be, and so I want it to continue that way. I want to keep it that way. I want to, and to kind of answer Andrew's questions about like, how do you internalize it. You put it through the process. You ask yourself, what response helps the most? Like, what response serves me the most? If Andrew says, "Hey, how was my workout today?" If we worked out together, and if I said, "You looked like shit," now if I'm totally kidding, and I smile and I laugh, and that's within the context of, hey, we're just joking around, we're buds or whatever, right? But I can also even just think of something so small like that. How does this serve me, as a mentor, as a leader? How does this serve me? How's this going to serve him? How's this going to make him feel? If I make him feel good, that's going to make me feel good. And if I think about the workout and I'm like, shit, man, well, you did, like the last time we worked out together, he did really well on squats. Like, shit, man, you were blowing up those squats and I think it was unexpected. Fucking did awesome, right?
Yeah.
Now he feels good, I feel good. So those are just, I've been thinking about a lot of these things. And when I say it's complicated, it's like some of the stuff I've been listening to is like, people that are studying, like, I'm trying to think of the guy's name that was on Joe Rogan recently, but some of it has been like from like physics and stuff like that, and epistemology, and like you can try to look up some of this stuff, but it's a dark hole.
Yeah.
It's hard, but when the time's right, I'll give you guys more information on maybe specifics of where you can look, because I'm still learning about it. So I don't want to like say, hey, like, I don't know the best trusted sources, but if you are a true nerd, you will know this name. The guy's name is David Deutsch, and if you can stomach listening to any of what he says, he has some outstanding principles. But it's even the principles of like knowledge and why we try to acquire knowledge, and like where knowledge even comes from, and how we even know something. Like, it's weird, because then how do you know that it's raining outside? Like, do you need to stand outside to get wet to know that it's raining outside? Like, you hear it, right? But then you could be interpreting it the wrong way, right? So it's a dark hole, but it's been useful for me.
Do you think, because you said that you kind of forgot and you started getting responsibilities and stuff, do you think you can have, like, an adult can have like a childlike mindset as far as like, just how kids think, right? Can someone have that, like, tap into that mindset and still be able to progress and be like a successful, in their opinion, a successful person?
I think so. I think it can be a lot of fun too. Like a kid could have fun with our light switch, right? Like, if he can reach the light switch, like for the first time, he's like, boop, boop, boop. He's turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off. He's like, oh my God, I can control the lights in the room. This is crazy, right? And maybe he, like, even through some of that process, learns about electricity, or maybe he sticks a fork in the in the socket and really gets a learning lesson and gets launched across the room.
Yeah.
I put my tongue on an outlet when I was a kid.
Oh,
Not
man.
an outlet, but like a plug thing. I shocked myself. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I remember I don't know what the hell I was doing, but I had like a phone cord or something, and it split into two, and I just happened to be like, oh, well, what happened? And like, it exploded. It was not good.
I think, you can kind of live your life like a kid a little bit, and I think that you should. I think that you should, be exploring things, but with an adult mind. And Nsima, you were mentioning, interpreting things certain ways when you were younger, but you're also still very young.
Mm.
And I think that men, like, I think their brain isn't even fully developed until you're like 25.
Yeah.
So there's like,
Yeah.
and like even like if I think about like watching certain movies and stuff with my kids aren't gonna like cry from like watching a movie. The only way they would cry is maybe if they got scared or something. I mean, when they were younger, I guess. But they're not really gonna cry because they don't have that emotion. You know, I forget what some of the stuff's called, but they don't have that part of the brain to be empathetic in that way. They might be able to be like, oh my God, like I understand how that, because it could be a kid in the movie or something that's getting abused or something. They could say, I understand how, like, man, that's got to really hurt, but it won't make them cry. Like it would make us cry
Mm.
because we're like, man, how horrible to see that done to a child, and you get like you're like into it, right? And my kids, like, they'll laugh, you know, at me or Andy, like if we cry during a movie or something like that. It's usually Andy, but they're always like, you know, teasing her, and she laughed during like, or she cried during like Ice Age or something, and they thought it was they thought it was the craziest thing they've ever seen.
Yeah, Jasmine always crushes us whenever this is like, these damn onions, we got to stop cutting them. And then she's just like, again? I was like, it's not me.
You know what I'm curious about, because I know we don't have much time left, but like for like your coach, right? Like he's gone through life, I guess, with that type of reacting when he's angry or something like
Right.
that, right? Like because I was thinking like, what's the because I try not to be reactionary when, especially the people close in my life tell me certain things that may hurt me. I try not to react. I try to like, the first thing is like, okay, don't react to it. Just think about it. Separate yourself and wonder, like, ask yourself, why are you angry that they said that? Or why are you feeling really down that they said that? And then it could be, oh, because it's actually fucking true. And now you realize it's true about yourself and you need to change that, right? But for a person that is inherently like, they do react, or they do feel very angry over things, and they that's what they do. How can that, like, it's get like, there's no way we can answer this question right now, but there's probably listeners like thinking, but that's just what I do. I'm an emotional person. Like, what is their process for, I guess, not dealing with things with that emotion so much? Like, the one thing that I've been told in the past was that I'm very cold. I've been told by people close to me that I'm cold. But the thing is like, I don't necessarily think I'm cold. I just think that I don't let my emotions rule what I do in certain situations. It's not that I'm cold. I feel everything, but I just try not to, lose myself in the way that I feel. Right. So how can, I guess, people find especially very emotional individuals, what's the process that they need to do? You need therapy or what? Like, there's too much here.
Yeah. No, it's a lot.
I think that it almost kind of play like a little bit of like the victim mentality. Because like I've heard people say like, oh, I just speak my mind and I'm not going to apologize for it.
Yep.
And then I also have heard like, oh, I have anger issues. Sorry. Like hold on. Like, because you speak your mind and you quote have anger issues doesn't give you a free pass to just be like crazy when something like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And before I forget, you are cold because you asked me to turn the heater up right now.
I'm actually very cold.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, like, when it comes to that stuff, I think that again, like, what serves you the best, you know, to be, let's say you have a kid and they cuss at you or something, right? And it makes you super frustrated. Hey, you know, Jasmine, you're not supposed to talk that way. Hey, Quinn, you're not supposed to talk like what, you know. Or there's other ways of reacting to it and just like letting it happen. Let them storm off into the room. Give it a few minutes. You know, maybe you're kind of in shock. You know, maybe you're like, wow, like that is completely out of character. Does it do any good for you to, like, this is a great opportunity, a great education opportunity to teach your child. You could say, hey, you know, so you can give it a minute so that you're not mad, because you might overreact to that. But you could give it a minute, say, hey, I want you to come out of your room. I'd love to talk to you about this. You talk to him about it and you say, I'm sorry if you have ever learned that from me, exploding like that and being frustrated because I said you can't go to your friend's house. But that's not a great way to get what you want. It's not productive. It doesn't help anything. It just makes you mad. It upsets me. I'm upset that you're upset. Like, let's figure out, okay, you can't go over your friend's house tonight because it's 8:30 at night and you have school tomorrow. We could still work towards you getting what you want. I think a lot of times, people are trying to like work towards something that they want, or trying to, um, get something out of a particular situation. And so that's why they're reacting a certain way. And I think if you were to explain, or if the people listening that might be reactionary, if they could better understand that, like, they may not get their way from, it's not that productive to do that, right? And it
Yeah.
takes a lot of energy too. And I think when we think about the people that ask us about like motivation, how do you stay motivated? Well, it's easy to be motivated when you're very even keel most of the time,
Yeah.
because like, hey, like, I'm just got to go to the gym. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm getting ready for the gym. Why? I go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
You love going to the gym? Yep. You love going to jujitsu? Yep. Why do you love jujitsu so much? Well, I have a goal, and if it works out, I'm going to be a world champion someday. You really want to be a world champion? Yep. And how do you react when you lose? It's like, oh, it just shows me that I probably need to get on the mat a little bit more. If I'm on the mat a little bit more, I doubt that I'll lose. Like the few people that you have lost to. If you were on the mat for an additional, let's say, even just 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you had that implanted into your body, an additional 3 months of knowledge, you probably would have beat him. Right?
Yeah.
So it's just like the little things, and then like how do you get that? How do you being emotional towards it doesn't really do much. Although, you could cry about it, and the crying and stuff like that could actually help you sort through the process, maybe a little faster. And it can sometimes be a productive. You don't have to be completely emotionless, but you think about like who's more effective. Who's more effective of a killer, right? Like someone that goes into a bank and goes blasting people. Like, can they pick off more people, or can like a sniper, someone who's cold and calculated and does it from a distance? Or even like serial killers. I know it's like a crazy thing to think about, but like serial killers can kill people for decades. Like the Golden State the Golden State Killer, right? Because he's not making a scene.
Mm-hmm.
He's like tying people up, taking his time, killing them, leaving, torturing them, doing all that shit. Right?
It's not funny.
This isn't funny, but it's like just the comparisons we're making here. It makes sense though. It makes perfect sense. But yeah,
cold and calculated.
Yeah.
And Nsima's cold.
Mm-hmm. Colder than my nipples. Well, we can talk about this a lot more some other time too. We can get into
this is great. I think what's happening is Mark is just getting wiser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Wisening up.
So David Deutsch.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
YouTube him, guys, I guess.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. Alrighty.
All right, we're gonna get ready for Dominic D'Agostino, the doctor, keto doc.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's do that. Sorry, I was looking at the time. Yeah, we're good to go. Alrighty.
Where can people find you?
Oh.
Nsima.
Oh, Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter.
Andrew.
At I am Andrew Z. Make sure you're following the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project. And thank you guys for all the ratings and reviews you guys have been leaving. It's been really cool to like reach out, or not reach out, but have the people that wrote the review reach out on Instagram and say thank you for reading your name on air. That's been freaking awesome. Real quick, this episode is brought to you by Perfect Keto. You guys know we love the MC2 oil powders, the electrolytes that I have literally right here, and all of the Perfect Keto bars. Head over to perfectketo.com/powerproject. At checkout, enter promo code PowerProject10 for $10 off any order of 40 or more. And then if you reach 100, use promo code PowerProject Bundle. Mark Smelly Bell, where are you at?
Special shout out to my people over at Nike for ripping off the hip circle.
Was waiting if you were going to say
that. That is one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. I saw a slingshot or a hip circle. I'm hoping they steal a slingshot too. That'd be cool. I saw a hip circle sitting on my desk that had a Nike swoosh on it, and I just thought that was pretty damn. I thought that was pretty damn cool. Someone over there knows something about me or the company or something. Probably not the owner though. We probably haven't made it that far. We need LeBron to know about it. Maybe he does. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch y'all later.